Palme. Hello, how are you all doing? I am Josh. I thought I would share a little bit about Paiute reading because there is a lot of discussion over, proper ways of spelling and whatnot. And I think it's generally agreed upon that there is no right way to spell at this moment in Paiute. There are people who spell in different ways, and that's perfectly fine, especially because there are multiple dialects. There are different dialects, and so there's going to be different ways of spelling. That is perfectly fine. But there is one particular writing system which is known as a Wycliffe writing system. Some would argue, and I think myself included, that maybe that's not really the best name for it because it wasn't developed by Wycliffe. It was actually developed by Paiute elders from McDermott. And yeah, there were some Wycliffe associates who helped them out and kind of provided some linguistic guidance on it. But it was the Paiute elders up there who ultimately developed it, put it together, and accepted it. It has also been accepted and adopted by the Pyramid Lake Paiute tribe and perhaps others I'm not aware of. But I just wanted to share a little bit about that because there are some letters that can be problematic if you're reading it like a typo, in other words, according to English reading rules. But before we get into that, I'll just say that no individual letter or symbolic letter can represent all the sounds that exist for that letter. I'm trying to avoid linguistic jargon here, but let me give you an example in English. Look up here at this T, this letter T, right? In English, this letter T can actually sound different ways, even though it just has that one letter that represents the multiple sounds that it can make. For example, this first word here, when the T starts a word, like this word tick, it's forced out, like a lot of air is following it, tick. And that's what this symbol represents in the International Phonetic Alphabet, IPA, tick. But in this next word, stick, notice the T sound. If you try to isolate that T sound, stick, take away the S and take away the ick, stick, it's not as forceful. That is represented by this T. It is unaspirated. In other words, it doesn't have a lot of air following it. It's just nice and simple, tick. What about this third word, critic? That T sound is a tap of the tongue. It's not the T. You don't say critic, or don't say critic. You say critic. It's just a little tap, flap of the tongue, and this is how it's represented in IPA. This next word is hit. Now, sure, you can say hit if you wanted to enunciate the word, but typically we say it based on these two different ways. The first one is hit, where you do put your tongue at the that ridge at the top of your mouth. You put it where you would typically pronounce the T sound, but you don't release it. It's hit. You don't release the air. Hit. Another way is what this one is that looks like a question mark. It's called a glottal stop, and that's where you cut it off at the back of your throat. You just say hit. You don't even have to close your mouth anyway. See, my mouth is open the whole time. Hit. Just for funsies, I threw the second one in here. This is a Spanish word, tío. Okay, tío. Similar to the T in stick, but it's a little different. See that little kind of bracket on the bottom? That indicates it as interdental. In Spanish, it's tío. You kind of put your tongue in between your teeth. Tío. And it's also very soft. You don't force it out with a lot of air. Tío. So that just gives you an idea that one letter, one symbol that represents a particular phoneme, is what is called a letter sound in a language, can represent multiple sounds. And so here's some examples in Paiute, again, according to what's known as the Wycliffe writing system. You have this S, okay, this S. Again, there are multiple dialects in Paiute, so we have to be really careful because some dialects pronounce the S one way and some another way. And so this is kind of more of a generalization that I have here. So this first word, sa, means later. For example, you oftentimes hear sa apunidwa, which means see you later. Sa as generally just a regular S, kind of a typical, prototypical S as we kind of English speakers think of it as, just an S, and that's how it's represented in IPA. But whenever this letter, whenever this S, or this symbol S follows a high vowel like a E sound, it actually changes more into a sh sound, sh sound. So in this word, ishu means this, ishu. And again, depending on your dialect, that can come across in different ways. And so there's 3 different ways that it can be represented in IPA. And all of these symbols basically kind of are similar in kind of more of a sh sound, ishu. Another one is this word here, yesh. Kind of that I letter kind of has this more of a sound, so aish, but again it goes into that E sound, aish, yesh. Again, can be represented in IPA by these different symbols. A very common word in Paiute that you hear a lot is this one, P-E-S-A. Now, if you're reading it like a taibo, in other words, if you're reading it like an English spelling or reading rules, you're going to try to say pisa, but you can't read it like a taibo because this isn't taibo, this isn't English, this is Paiute. And so this S, again, following an E sound, it becomes more of a sh, so pisha. And so that's what, again, these 2 symbols, this first one is more of a sh sound, but this one that looks like a 3 is voice. It's j, pisha. So you hear it different ways, again, from different dialects, pisha. Another letter in the Wycliffe spelling system is this one that looks like a U. Sometimes you'll see it spelled by different kind of people just on their own, like a UH, like a UH. But when I see that, again, according to English reading rules, it looks like a like an uh-oh. But this, in Paiute, this actually isn't, pronounced like a it's a sound, So this first word, m, means you all. And this is how that is represented in IPA. So I with a slash through, it's a sound. Now, keep in mind that vowel sounds, just like even in English, the quality of the sound that it makes, it can change, and it does change depending on the sounds that are surrounding it. So, just again, keep that in mind. M, this is m. Or the singular version of you is for example, how are you? How bisha thank you. These are just a couple examples I just wanted to throw out there just to, keep in mind, just trying to make it clear that individual letters in a language, they're not limited to just one sound. They can be extended to multiple sounds, similar sounds that, change depending on the environment that they are found in. And so finally, I'll just say this. The clue is don't read like a taibo. In other words, when you're reading Paiute, don't read it like you would in English. Don't look at it like English. For example, when I see this word here, this is a Spanish word. Whoops, I don't know I can do that. Interesting. This is a Spanish word. It's not English. I'm not going to read that like according to English spelling and reading rules. I'm not going to say quesadilla because it's not Spanish. Or excuse me, it's not English. This is Spanish, so I'm going to say quesadilla. So likewise, when you're reading Paiute, don't read it according to English spelling rules. Don't read, this word up here, bija, according to English spelling rules. Don't say pisa. But in order to do that, you have to listen. You have to know what the language sounds like. And so the most important thing over everything is don't limit yourself to reading Paiute. You need to actually listen to fluent speakers. Listen to native speakers as they talk, whether there's a lot of YouTube videos out there, or if you know speakers, reach out to them and listen to them here. Because as you do that, then you'll be able to look back at written material and you'll be able to make sense of it, and you'll be able to read it accurately. So again, spelling, there's all kind of spelling, and that's fine with multiple dialects. So this is just one way of representing the sounds in the Numa Yaruana, the Paiute language. So Pishama, thank you all for listening. Until next time, Punirua.